Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today, we're going to go back and do something that I said we wouldn't do. In today's episode, we are going to take a look. There will be some spoilers, but not many, for the manga, the Ichinose family's Deadly Sins. Now, when this first debuted back in November of 2022, I looked at it, and there were a couple of, let's call them orange flags for me. I looked at it, the art is very, sketchy. It's not the crisp, clean lines of art that I really like, but it's a style that many people enjoy. One of the issues with those crisp, clean, highly defined lines is that you sacrifice some of the sensation of movement. Many artists have experienced this with your quick sketches somehow having more movement in life than your final refined product. And this has to do with how your brain processes images far more than it has to do with the actual quality of the art. So the Ichinose family's Deadly Sins had an art style that wasn't my favorite. I really do prefer that more processed, finished look. Also, there's a lot of toner in the images. There's a lot of dark space as opposed to white space, and I definitely prefer manga with more white space, the Dragon Ball Z style as opposed to the other styles. Then there was the story itself. Now, for the first 10 chapters of the Ichinose family's Deadly Sins, it was looking like it was going to be a remarkably serious slice of life comedy. And I have nothing against slice of life comedies. They're just not my favorite one. What was that? What was that one that was recently going on about this girl who adopts a weakened god of destruction who's been sealed away for generations? And when reading chapters 1 through 10, I figured, okay, this is just like that. You have a normal family working in a normal real-life universe, following all the rules, and it has one very corny leap away from reality. So that is what I thought the Ichinose family Deadly Sins were. A slice of life manga that, instead of being a pure comedy, is going to focus on the moral and psychological issues that real-life people can face in the real-life world. Only in this story, what I was seeing as the story unfolded was that we would focus on each of the members of these families: the brother, sister, mother, father, grandmother, grandfather. And each of these members of these family would work through to a successful resolution of their own issues. We saw it with the son first, as he's sort of the main character, but although the story really does focus on the whole ensemble, he works through his issues of, mild spoiler alert, being bullied. And it's not really traditional bullying. He managed to really muck up his relationship with one of his friends, and his whole relationship with the whole class kind of got warped up in that. And so he actually grows a spine. Classic shonen MC character. He grows a spine, faces down the issue, gets his friend back, and they develop a really good relationship. And then they work together on the second beat of the story, which now focuses on the sister and her issues. And this focuses on a very real, serious issue that is not unique to Japan, but seems to manifest in a very peculiar, not peculiar, peculiar is not the word. His younger sister, has a social issue that has been talked about the most in Japan because of the unique way it manifests in that particular culture. And he helps her through that. Again, it's all very shonen, all very sweet, all very slice of life, all very grounded in reality. And so I did not think I was going to be able to get a video out of this, even one full-length analysis video out of this series, because it was just fine. Now, unlike certain other manga that I won't read because I don't really enjoy them, this was the manga that I had filed away in my brain. I'll go back every 5 chapters, binge 5 chapters at a time, enjoy the story, burn 10 minutes reading the 5 chapters, and just never talk about it. Right up till chapter 10. And I was actually, by the time we'd finished the girls' arc, I was really excited to start moving on to the adults' arc. Because we finished the brothers' arc, he handled his issue. We finished the girls' arc, she handles her issue. And in this story, each of the adults has their own separate room. And as we get a glimpse into their room, we see what their issue is. And I was really, really looking forward to the grandparents' issues because I was wondering what kind of issues they would have at their stage of life. But it looked like chapter 10 was about to get into the dad's issue, and we start to do that. And then at the end of chapter 10, the whole story just goes sideways. And it gets driven home to you that you are no longer in a cheerful, friendly, slice of life drama comedy. And the thing is, I'm not entirely sure what kind of story we're in. I could not tell you right now with any certainty what the genre of the Ichinose family's deadly sins are. Now, the heart of the manga is still following the same concept. You have a family that has problems. And they're going to have to work through these, and these are very realistic problems that people actually have in real life. And they're going to have to work through these problems together as a family if they want to defeat them. Very wholesome, very, very real. That doesn't seem to have changed. But the genre is not what you would have thought it was from the first 10. Now, I said that at the very beginning of the story, the story took some liberties with the audience, but it did it in the correct way, and so we really didn't care. Now, retrograde amnesia. This is the classic amnesia that shows up all the time in all sorts of manga, all sorts of stories all over the world. Whether you're talking Western television or anime, manga, manhwa, what retrograde amnesia is such a useful plot device that it shows up. Now, this is very real. People do have retrograde amnesia. A member of my family had retrograde amnesia at the age of 18, and not only did it literally blank his memory, it changed his mother said it changed his personality ever afterwards. But for 6 weeks, he could sit up in the hospital bed, look around, talk coherently, but he had no memory of his family. So retrograde amnesia does happen. I know an instance of it in real life, but it's very, very rare. The more common is anterograde amnesia, is you get a blow to the head and you can't remember anything that happened after it for a set period of time. So basically, you just have a blank in your data. You remember who you are pretty much all the way up to the accident, and then you begin to remember things after you basically wake up in the hospital. It's a little more complicated than that, but you just have a blank spot in your memory. And that's far, far more common because long-term memory is actually very difficult to disrupt without significant physical trauma. And retrograde amnesia usually only lasts until your brain heals because your brain is desperately trying to reform those pathways. In the more severe cases where you do actually lose everything, you usually also lose the ability to talk, walk, eat, brush your teeth. It's incredibly rare for someone to have very specific retrograde amnesia that just interrupts their social memories, but allows them to remember grammar, sentence structure, math, how to walk, how to talk, their clothes. Because all of those memories, the memory of how to brush your teeth and the memory of who you live with, they're kind of all filed in the same way. So for your memory to be that specifically disrupted is incredibly, profoundly rare. But it does happen. So what was the suspension of disbelief that this manga asked us to all accept at the first? Well, it was that this entire family, 6 members of varying ages and levels of health, all suffered the exact same super rare form of retrograde amnesia in a random car accident where they were in different positions in the car, and none of them died, none of them are paralyzed, none of them have forgotten how to brush their teeth, but they've all forgotten everything about each other. That is statistically unlikely to the point of being impossible. In real life, the grandparents would have died, the kids would have been the best, The retrograde amnesia would have been probably most likely in either the mother or the father, and they would have all had different varying levels of amnesia, but mostly it would have been death, paralysis, serious injury. Their car tumbled off a cliff, after all. But like I said, the manga did it correctly. It said, okay, everybody, we are asking you to take this one small step away from reality. We are asking you to accept, for the purposes of the story, to make the story make sense, one small step past statistical probability. We're not asking you to believe in aliens. We're not asking you to believe that kaiju come stomping out of the Pacific Ocean. We're not asking you to believe in time travel or spaceships. We're just asking you to suspend your disbelief about the statistical likelihood of this medical event. And I was like, okay, I'm going to laugh, I'm going to smile, but I'll accept this because, like I said, I'll come back every 5 chapters and binge a slice of life dramedy. It's being well written. The story is engaging. I don't really enjoy bullying storylines, but hey, I mean, it was well written. I've got time on my hands. I'll read it. Again, then chapter 10 comes and everything goes sideways. Suddenly, the mangaka goes, aha! Do you remember that suspension of disbelief I asked you? Do you remember how we all knew that it was statistically unlikely that this would happen? Well, I'm going to take your acknowledgement of the statistical unlikelihood and build that into a completely different story. Is it science fiction? Is it fantasy? Are we looking at the supernatural here? Are we looking at the kind of supernatural where it's a deal with the devil? Are we looking at the kind of science fiction where this is an entirely Earth-based team that just has access to technology that's 10 minutes in the future? Is this science fiction where we've got aliens? I don't know. And I find that very, very intriguing. I don't know if this is a fantasy. I don't know if this is folklore. I don't know if this is 5 minutes in the future, science fiction, humans with better technology, like The Expanse. I don't know if this is Star Trek level science fiction. I don't know. But something is definitely profoundly not real world in this situation. Now, from the suggestions, I think what they've established is a time loop, because whatever's going on doesn't just involve the core family. So the most plausible explanation, if they're still doing a real world 5 minutes in the future, is mentally rewriting what is going on with the family. But there are strong implications that whatever's going on in the family's heads are also going on in the world around them. Government documents, hospital records, people at school. Everything, and here's the big spoiler, if you don't want any spoilers for what happens at chapter 10, everything resets. Now, traditionally in manga science fiction, that leaves 2 major possibilities. An actual time loop, where everything is resetting. This was done in Siren, in a bunch of different manga. Or this entire group of 6 people are in pods with their brains hooked up to electrodes, and just their memories are being reset. Which I don't like. I really don't like that second option because it really steals some of the emotional impact of the emotional development done by the characters across the first 10 chapters. I would much rather it be an actual time loop. But I don't know. I guess I'll just have to keep reading. I'm still not going to do individual chapter reviews. This is not Kaiju number 8. I just don't have that level of interest in it. But here's to the mangaka. This was a very good plot twist. I did not see it coming, but in retrospect, 6 people all getting the exact same super rare type of retrograde amnesia. In this day and age, it takes a lot more suspension of disbelief for a modern educated audience to believe that. That should have been a red flag that there was something going on here beyond the mangaka just asking us to suspend our disbelief for the sake of a cute little slice of life comedy. All right, so what do you think, my wonderful viewers? Do you think that the Ichinose family is trapped in an actual time loop? Are they trapped in pods with their brains hooked up to electrodes? Or is there some secret third option that I didn't pick up on. Hit that like and subscribe button. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Go check out the links below this video to get a copy of my books, Humans Are Weird, Let's Work It Out, and Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data. And peace out, my wonderful viewers.